When Marshall Rousseau came to Tampa Bay in 1973, he did not anticipate that he was beginning a legacy of profound arts impact.
He was sent to Tampa as vice president at Robinson's, and he was doing amazing things that nobody else had done. Rather than market Robinson's department store, he was promoting the arts and the cultural community. One of the artists that Marshall highlighted at Robinson's department store in his newspaper ads was a young high school student by the name of Christopher Still.
I know that it is very special to Marshall to be honored at the same time as Christopher Still, because Christopher was like a protege.
Marshall spent his first 13 years in Tampa Bay opening Robinson's department stores throughout the region, directing the chain's advertising, public relations, special events, and merchandising, and developing a reputation as a dedicated patron of the arts with a talent for creating and promoting dynamic community events. So in 1982, when plans were forming for the opening of the region's new Dali Museum, Marshall was a natural choice to help lead this historic arts event. Before long, Marshall became the person in the room others looked to lead arts organizations during times of change and transition. Over the next 25 years, he would serve as a board member or as executive leader at major cultural organizations throughout the region, including the Florida Orchestra, Tampa Museum, Museum of Fine Arts, Ringling Museum, and Oslo Repertory Theater. Arguably the most profound impact Rousseau had on the cultural landscape of Tampa Bay was his 20 years providing leadership at the Dali Museum, first as a board member, and then for 11 pivotal years as the museum's co-executive director, after being hand-selected by Reynolds Morse, the collection's owner and personal friend of Salvador Dali. Right away, Rousseau set to work applying his savvy business experience to elevating the Dali Museum, transforming the museum's early home. Marshall was driven to elevate Dali and his work above the media's portrayal of the artist.
I felt at the time the world was treating Dali as kind of a fool. And so my inclination was to stop that and make our museum a serious museum, that we're not going to tout his craziness. But I wanted to stay away from that, and I didn't like people making fun of Dali, frankly. At the end of my 11 years there, I think he began to get a great deal of respect. People are really realizing he was a great artist, and let's treat him like that.
Rousseau went on to usher the Dali Museum into the global museum community, earning the Dali its museum accreditation, hiring art historian Dr. William Jeffett as the museum's chief curator, expanding the museum's collection, and positioning the Dali as a borrowing and lending institution, a pivotal move in building its artistic partnerships and profile around the world. All of this was accomplished while establishing record profitability through steadily increased attendance and drawing on his retail experience through a vastly expanded Dali Museum store. Many attribute Rousseau's ability to build an authentic bond of trust with collection owners Reynolds and Eleanor Morse in making the Dali the world-class museum it is today.
That mattered because it was his collection and we didn't want to hurt him. We didn't want to offend him by doing something he didn't want. I'm going to start crying if I talk about it much longer because they were just really wonderful people.
Marshall retired from the Dali in 2001, only to be temporarily seduced out of retirement to provide leadership to the Ringling Museum. Eventually, he retired from arts leadership with much collected knowledge to impart.
Marshall went to Eckerd College and became a professor of museum studies. And for the last several years, he has been training young people to be future museum professionals.
If arts organizations can succeed in selecting their leaders to emulate the Marshall Rousseau model of leadership, they would succeed and do very well. I can't think of another person over the last 75 years who has had an impact on the cultural life of West Central Florida to the same extent as Marshall Rousseau.